Hello and welcome to Herein Lies the Peace of God in the Awakening Together Sanctuary. The Awakening Together Sanctuary is an assembly of equals joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self. Within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. The host of Herein Lies the Peace of God is Reverend Jacqueline Eckert, the President Minister of Awakening Together. Our co-host is your favorite anarchist preacher, Reverend Glenn Morton Ganaway, integral scholar. The Course in Miracles says this about discerning one truth. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
Sing glory, glory, hallelujah. How wonderful thy holy name. Now I can see with God's own vision, and I see peace instead of pain. Yes, I see peace instead of pain. I can see peace instead of pain. Amen.
We have to get something in there, don't we? How are you, Jacqueline? And good evening.
You've been listening to Herein Lies the Peace of God with Reverend Jacqueline Eckert and Reverend Glenn Ganaway.
That was a really short program.
I know. You know, when you think you hit the thing and it doesn't, and it just goes to the next song, you know? That's everybody's experienced that, I'm sure.
Yes. Absolutely. How are you, Glenn?
I'm really good. It's just been bitingly cold here. Really just like we're expecting a nor'easter to come in. So all the businesses and stuff and are battening up the hatches, and everybody is running to the store going, "We're all gonna die!"
if I don't buy bread and
if I don't have like an entire west wing of my house filled with toilet paper, so that's happening. But work is really busy. Extremely busy because we're short. We're of course, like everybody else, we're short-staffed, doing a million things. These checkbooks don't balance themselves. And
they don't.
No, they don't. And everybody's doing a million different things. Like I've been the maintenance man, I've been the hauler, I've been all kinds of different kinds of. And it's like everybody is stepping in to do what's everything that needs to get done. And I've never worked in a place, I'm going on and on about this, but I've really never worked in a place where you just say, "Oh, this needs to be done," and somebody goes, "Oh, I have time," and somebody else goes, can I get to that late? Can I get to that later, or can we take? It's the adults in the room. I'm really so blessed to work with, to do that. And it's really, under pressure, you really find out where you're, like, where, like I used to say, my mother, where your bread's buttered, which my mother would used to say,
Yes, you do.
But so we're going to talk a little bit about that, the mindsets, right?
Yes, yes.
How have you been?
Oh, I'm great. I have that job that you're talking about. We all know that what we do here is all about healing. If stuff gets done, that's great. That's a bonus. But it's all really about healing. So those are the kinds of days I have every day, and I'm blessed.
I work in service of others, so it's the only job I've ever had where there's an announcement 15 minutes before the end of the day, when she says everybody is leaving in 15 minutes.
I love
Have
that.
you ever worked at a job where the boss goes over the thing and says, "Start packing, 15 minutes, start packing up your desk,"
No.
because I want everybody
great.
out of the building at 5:00.
It's wonderful. Yeah, good for you.
Uh,
Hey, let's tell them what we're going to do, shall we?
Oh, yes, please. Oh,
We
you want me to
are
tell you? Okay.
going to read.
Okay.
No, no. I said let. I said let's. I don't care. You tell.
No. Please, please.
Oh my God.
No, you. No,
So here's
you.
what we're going to do. No, you go. Here's what we're going to do. We are going to read, and I still, by the way, have that annoying delay. So when I interrupt, it will be late. But I will interrupt you. But yeah, so what we're doing is we are reading from A Course in Miracles, the Manual for Teachers. And we are reading, Glenn calls them chapters. I call them sections. Imagine that. We can't even agree on that. We're reading section 14. And it is called, How Will the World End?
Well,
Does that sound right to you, Glenn?
This be dramatic. Dun, dun, dun.
So I'm going to read How Will the World End? I know you all are dying to find out the answer to that question. And then Glenn is going to tell us what that means, right?
Well, I'm going to give this perspective.
Okay, that's what I meant.
I'm going to share with you my vision.
Perfect. Okay, so here we go. How will the world end? Can what has no beginning really end? The world will end in an illusion as it began. Yet will its ending be an illusion of mercy, the illusion of forgiveness, complete, excluding no one, limitless in gentleness, will cover it, hiding all evil, concealing all sin, and ending guilt forever. So ends the world that guilt had made, for now it has no purpose and is gone. The father of illusions is the belief that they have a purpose. The father of illusions is the belief that they have a purpose, that they serve a need or gratify a want. Perceived as purposeless, they are no longer seen. Their usefulness, exact opposite of that word, their uselessness is recognized and they're gone. How but in this way are all illusions ended? They have been brought to truth, and truth saw them not. It merely overlooked the meaningless. Until forgiveness is complete, the world does have a purpose. It becomes the home in which forgiveness is born, and where it grows and becomes stronger and more all-embracing. Here it is nourished, for here it is needed. A gentle Savior, born where sin was made and guilt seemed real. Here is his home, for here there is need of him indeed. He brings the ending of the world with him. It is his call God's teachers answer, turning to him in silence to receive his word. The world will end when all things in it have been rightly judged by his judgment. The world will end with the benediction of holiness upon it. When not one thought of sin remains, the world is over. It will not be destroyed, nor attacked, nor even touched. It will merely cease to seem to be. Certainly, this seems to be a long, long while away. When not one thought of sin remains, appears to be a long-range goal indeed. But time stands still and waits on the goals of God's teachers. Not one thought of sin will remain the instant any one of them accepts the atonement for himself. It is not easier to forgive one sin than to forgive all of them. The illusion of orders of difficulty is an obstacle the teacher of God must learn to pass by and leave behind. One sin perfectly forgiven by one teacher of God can make salvation complete. Can you understand this? No. It's meaningless to anyone here. Yet it is the final lesson in which unity is restored. It goes against all the thinking of the world. So does heaven. The world will end when its thought system has been completely reversed. Until then, bits and pieces of its thinking will still seem sensible. The final lesson which brings the ending of the world cannot be grasped by those not yet prepared to leave the world and go beyond its tiny reach. What then is the function of the teacher of God in this concluding lesson? He need merely learn how to approach it, to be willing to go in its direction. He need merely trust that if God's voice tells him it is a lesson he can learn it. He does not judge it either as hard or easy. His teacher points to it, and he trusts that he will show him how to learn it. The world will end in joy because it is a place of sorrow. When joy has come, the purpose of the world has gone. The world will end in peace because it is a place of war. When peace has come, what is the purpose of the world? The world will end in laughter because it is a place of tears. Where there is laughter, who can longer weep? And only complete forgiveness brings all this to bless the world. In blessing it departs, for it will not end as it began. To turn hell into heaven is the function of God's teachers, for what they teach are lessons in which heaven is reflected. And now, sit down in true humility and realize that all God would have you do, you can do. Do not be arrogant and say you cannot learn his own curriculum. His word says otherwise. His will be done. It cannot be otherwise. And be you thankful it is so.
I loved this. I've read it like 10 times this week. I say this every week, but there's some real decent poetry in this. You know, that last paragraph, you know, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, like first five sentences of the last paragraph, she writes in that it's I think it's an iambic pentameter. The world ends when the world ends when the world ends, you know, when, and she just like drives it home. It's like, and you can do this, you know. So what it, you know, I think what the course is asking us to do is to change our mind about what all this is even about. You know, what material, how I experience the world, my place in the world, what it means, what role do I have, what, you know, how, you know, what my likes and my dislikes, all of that is like is completely thrown out. And she offers the idea and asks us to recognize that we don't want to forgive some things. That we think that it's more hard to forgive some things than others. It's that even though it's that as difficult as we want to make the world, it's only us making it difficult. It's only us making the suffering part. And again, she throws back to the first chapter of Course in Miracles, where she goes, understand there aren't an order of difficulties. Mm-hmm. There aren't levels of truth. You know, the classic one, the way we all understand this is like, you know, there isn't a little bit pregnant. You know, there isn't a little bit, there isn't a little bit of evil in God, you know, and she does that. She does that in the very first paragraph. She goes, the whole notion of the devil is this idea of separation. Yes. You know, she calls it, you know, one of the names of the devil is, or the Satan or Lucifer or Mephisto is the father of illusions. And she makes a direct link to the father of illusions as, you know, this thought system that we think we have to take down, that we think we have to engage with. And she keeps saying, overlook, bypass, look through, see through, pay no attention, move beyond. It never says engage directly and wrestle to the floor and, you know, make, you know, she just never says that. And that's a lot of where I go. It's like, oh, this has to be attacked, you know, and that's exactly where we are if you're doing the lessons of in a Course in Miracles, this is like I think lesson 27. Lesson 25, 26, 27. I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm upset with the world because I see vengeance everywhere. I'm so this notion that this incredibly big thing we think is in our head about forgiving everything, like using forgiveness as a blanket. She's blanket as a blanket way of seeing and engaging the world. To forgive the world for the way we think it's going to be, to forgive the world for our misunderstanding, because if it's here, it's already flowering into this world. So the time to deal with it has already been created. So it's already perfect. It's already in the matrix. It's already here. It's already doing the thing. So to try to pull bits and pieces out of it, and that's a lot of what we call self-management, what we call skills development, what we call a lot of these things, and relationships, is to what is my foundation of being in the world? How is the world going to end? The world's going to end when I change my mind that it needs to be any different, that I need to be any different, that I'm not set up for this, I can't do it, that it's too hard, that it's beyond me. This idea of accepting and loving, a loving all. We say the loving all method, or that it's I can't do that. It's beyond. It's absolutely beyond me. And she ends up with, goes, I know you think these are big ideas, but you're actually built to accomplish them. You're actually created to do it. And we've talked ourselves out of our power, out of our strength, out of our commitment, out of our understanding, and out of our own development. And I think she's asking us to really catch ourselves when we want to make illusions real in this section. When does the world end? Well, when I stop warring. When does the world end? When I stop. It's this at the very end of this part which is so poetic. When does the world end? When I'm not warring. When does the world end? When I accept the joy that is here. When does the world end? When I remember to laugh. She goes, laughter and peace and joy are actually what is here. And if I'm not experiencing that, it's because I'm choosing to engage with what isn't real.
Wow.
So, and there's a lot of support for that. I mean, again, it's really gentle. Don't beat yourself up for not, for being programmed well to fit into the world, because that's what your parents did. That's what all the textbooks did. That's what all of our learning, mine, did to help me fit into the world better, so that I could learn to shake my hand to shake with my right hand, and tie a boat. I can tie ties, and that's all of that in order to do the thing that so people will treat me a certain way, or so I can move through the world in a way. But we've attached so much meaning to this. We're saying that our happiness is dependent upon our interaction and material development of a material world, and the use of ourselves as a material body, as things, that things offer innate meaning and happiness. When does the world end? When I stop looking at the world to try to bring me what isn't in the world.
Yes.
And I find it, and which is really the theme of a lot of what my message, what I get from Holy Spirit is, as I'm in a relationship. This is a relationship. And she says, do you believe the teacher? And so she's assuming that the one teacher, she's like assuming that you've got this, chapter 14, that she's mentioned this a couple of times. So there's a voice in your head that likes you. Are you paying attention? Who are you identifying with? How do we, like the Like Jesus said in the Bible, who do they say I am? He goes, oh, I don't know. Some people say you're the Son of God. Some people say you're crazy. Some people say you're a terrorist, you know? So it's like, well, we are reality. Our relationship is is what is real. It's not tangible. It's not locatable in a material existence. When does the world end? When I decide to be me, to be this presentation, to be this energy, to be this love, to be this peace, this joy that is moving through me, you know. Again, Jesus is coming to my head. He goes, my Father sent me. You know, my Father sent me. That's what I'm going to do. So there's support, there's real support there. And that's when the world ends, because I don't have to keep creating it. I mean, how much energy I've spent a lot of energy trying to force and create certain things, make certain things in the world, not create, but make certain things happen in the world, make a job happen, make this man love me. You know, I've done it all. I've done it all. You know, so, I really relate to what's that from Dreamgirls? You know, where she throws an absolute fit. You know, when you're gonna love me. You know, I absolutely relate to that. But I feel like that about like being rejected from a job, being rejected, and everything like that, because it's like, oh no, So who is this that's got to have the world in a certain way? That's the end of the world. Recognizing and thinking like, oh. The end of the world is when I stop deciding,
yes,
in my own arrogance, how it's got to be. It's got to be this way. And that's just coming into my head. And God never says you're gonna love me. God never says, that's the father of illusion. You need to do something. You need to do something to be worthy. You need to do something to measure up to, being good enough and all of that. That's the way I kind of, and she gives like 4 or 5 definitions of when the world ends. I think I included them all, but what did you find meaningful or like to pull out of this? This is a good long one.
I think I'll just say ditto.
Really?
Because I am not kidding. I'm nearly in tears here. It was perfect. It was absolutely beautiful. And so much, let me tell you, when you said who do people say that I am, I had just thought, man, this is so perfect. I thought of the exact verse because he said, you didn't think of that on your own. However he said it, I'm paraphrasing, but you didn't think of that on your own. Spirit had to tell you that. I had just thought those words, and then you said the first part of that story. Glenn, that was amazing. It was just, I'm just blown away. So thank you. Absolutely what you said. Ultimately, it's the giving up the belief that we're separate. Yeah. I loved that, the points that you made. It's already perfect. We don't need to pull it apart, and in preparing for the homily that I'm doing on Sunday, I just got a real glimpse of this accepting, a new glimpse of accepting the atonement for ourselves, because, as the Course tells us, the atonement's already complete. Yeah. So the universe doesn't give a rat's ass if we get this or not, right? I mean, it doesn't. It's not up to us to go, okay, and the universe go, ooh, I'm glad Glenn got it. Otherwise, thing was going to go to hell. No, the universe doesn't care, right?
No.
So-
no. There's not a race. There's no race, right?
There's nothing to be done. The atonement is already complete. There's nothing to be done. So from the perspective of the individual, which is a false perspective in the first place, because they're really an individual. But from the perspective of there is no individual. Period. We're told that over and over and over again. There's only one thing going on here. But the individual thinks the individual can make individual choices. And it's not so. I can make a choice as to how I'm going to ride this out, how my experience of the atonement coming to fruition is going to feel. But it's a done deal. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need my agreement to occur. Sorry, I just got, so it's already perfect. I don't need to pick it apart and go, okay, this week I'm going to try and forgive these people, and next week I'm going to try and forgive those people. No, it's perfect. And when I recognize, and you said this, when I recognize its perfection, and how do I do that? By not wanting anything to be different, by loving what is, right? By not trying to get in there and tinker with it, by not thinking that it needs my help or that my will be done, right? It says right here, where does it say? God's will be done. It's just really, really clear. And God's will be done. His will be done. It cannot be otherwise. It can't be otherwise. So when I think, I'm just gonna make sure I get mine, and then I'll save the world. No. Accepting the atonement for myself is my recognition that it's a done deal. Mm-hmm. That I can't further it, and that I can't be an obstacle to it. It's just that recognition, and in that recognition is when I'm able to let all things be exactly as they are. When I'm able to love everybody and everything, even somebody that's screaming in my face, even that asshole that parks his car on the sidewalk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
I do, yeah.
Yeah, because it's that allowance. That's what the universe is. That's what love is. That's what the flow of life is that perfect allowance. And so when I get in line with my own allowance, right? When I get in line with the rest of the universe, when I don't need to just make it just a little bit different, then I'm accepting the atonement that has already occurred for me, right? And that will determine my experience of the atonement that has already occurred. And of course we're going to laugh. We're going to go, oh my God, I thought I could do something different. No, you couldn't. You could never do anything different. Ooh, I'm going to war with you. Oh my God, I'm so scared. It's just so, it's the recognition that his will be done. It cannot be otherwise. It says in that last paragraph, it says, and now sit down in true humility. And realize that all God would have you do, you can do. Because it's done. It's done. The hubris is going, well, you know how I'm going to do it, right? The humility is going, oh my God, there's nothing to be done here. Yeah. Except, come with empty hands, right? What is that, lesson 179? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I love this sentence up here in the I don't know, 1, 2, 3. I can't tell if that's another paragraph or not. Third paragraph. What then is the function of the teacher of God in this concluding lesson, this final lesson? He need merely learn how to approach it, to be willing to go in its direction. What direction is it going in? Well, I'm gonna ride that direction. I'm not going to try and push it around anymore. And by that demonstration, I'm gonna show my seeming brothers that this is the way of joy. This is the way of peace. It's not war, right? What the other thing she said? it's not a place of sorrow. The sorrow is the belief that I need to push life around, so that I can be safe, so that I can be happy, so that I can be whole, right? So when I give up that belief, when I learn how to go in the direction of the flow of life, the sorrow is gone. The sorrow disappears. When I learn that I mean, really, just throw up your hands and ride the ride. That's all that's required here. I think it's a beautiful lesson. I think it's an absolute beautiful lesson. I think you said every bit of it. You said, so the task is to catch yourself when you want to make illusions real. The world will end when I stop worrying, when I remember to laugh. You said basically what you're doing is you're choosing to engage. You have to catch yourself when you choose to engage with what's not real, right? Mm-hmm. I don't need to do that again. I'm throwing up my hands and enjoying the ride. Anyway, you also said the world ends when I decide to be me. When I decide, it's not up to me to decide how things have got to be. Mm-hmm. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. That's the lesson. I mean, we could come back in here every day of the week and say the same lesson, and that would be the greatest service that we could give the world.
Absolutely. And she asks you to do that. Please be the mind of peace because your brothers are asking for peace. Please be, because the world. Why do we need peace? Why do we need forgiveness? Why is this all this stuff necessary? Because the world is here and it thinks it's something different. There's people out here who do believe that war solves something. There is a lot of people on a certain border in Eastern Europe right now that are deciding that they can solve the problems with greater and greater ammunition stores. So the challenge is to be the peace when the whole world is saying this whole thing has to be remodeled.
That's right.
Because that's really how I see it. I can see how we can improve this. Yeah. I know how all this can be improved. I want to remodel the whole thing.
That's you're absolutely right, and that is the whole lesson of forgiveness as taught in A Course in Miracles. That's what forgiveness is. It's just going, okay. Nothing's gone wrong here. Nothing needs to be different. Everything's a perfect unfolding of the atonement, and I'm just going to sit here and watch. I don't need it to be different than it is.
I talk about our favorite fears. So one of my my favorite fear is, or my favorite thing to really get upset about is being disrespected. And to come across people who are just absolutely so asleep and self-centered. It's just like, kicking puppies and and all this is like, how that's where it hits. The thing is how I am learning that even my understanding that there are people kicking puppies and that really want to hurt there are people that really exist that want to hurt other people, who plan it out, that war strategies and all kinds of things to hurt other people, so that spend their whole lives creating laws to marginalize others. So in order for them to feel safer, in order for them to believe that peace is in the direction of limit, that or restriction, or tamping down.
And you said this, the function of the teacher of God in this situation is to let those people kick puppies and be confused. And I'll tell you how Liz Cronkite said it. She says, all awaken simultaneously as each perfectly fulfills their part, just as each piece in a jigsaw puzzle of a castle is necessary to make the picture whole, even if it's not a piece of the castle.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone is playing their part perfectly. Mm-hmm. The guy kicking the dog. Mm-hmm. The guy, and you know, I know you talked about what was his name? We did the sad song with him. Activist guy. Andrew.
Andrew Harvey.
Andrew
and
Harvey.
a mentor, one of my mentors for me.
Yes, Andrew Harvey's like, get out there and do well, and if it's mine to do, I will. That's the perfect unfolding of the world. So, you know, if I'm walking by the guy kicking the puppy, I might shove him down, you know. Stop kicking that puppy.
Yeah, you know, it's like,
but realizing that's perfect, that him kicking the puppy is perfect, as is me pushing him away so he can't kick the puppy, as is whatever happens to him going to jail or not going to jail or being found innocent at trial, whatever, right? I mean, all of that is absolutely perfect.
Mm-hmm. The metaphor I'd like to offer, something that I do a lot of in my spare time is I watch gardening videos, and I watch permaculture videos, and I watch soil restoration videos, and I watch consensus building videos. I mean, I just like I want to it's like how does my thinking work? How can I catch myself in this? So they talk about this. Succession in a forest being necessary. Mm-hmm. And that the first thing for a degraded and abused landscape, the first thing that happens is weeds come in. You know, nothing that you could eat, nothing that's pretty. You know, it comes in because of it's been so degraded, and then it's the succession happens, and those things have to die, and then the next thing has to come up, and then those things have to die and be destroyed, and then the next thing has to rise up on top of it, and then that has to be destroyed. So it's like there isn't this trajectory like this. It's one thing. It isn't going up and down across a mountain range. It's the whole thing. When a tree when a tree falls in the forest, all the other trees don't go, this should not happen. We should form a coalition to make sure there are no more trees that get killed.
Yes. Well, and that's and that just relates to that shows you how judgment fits into this.
It does.
Yeah. This is good. This is bad. This should be happening. This shouldn't be happening. That is the illusion of separation itself. That is the illusion of self-will. Mm-hmm. That if I can make this good thing happen and this bad thing not happen, mm-hmm. then everything will be great. No. Everything's great now with the good and the bad happening.
Because if you go down that road, then you have to have power over others. And so that's like that's usurping the power of creation and the power of self-making from the divine,
from God, whose will must be done. It can't be any other way.
It can't be any other way. I can even pretend that it's some other way, and it's not going to be another way. I mean, this plan is so perfect that even the things that drive me up a wall are necessary to drive me up a wall so I can unplug and unhook and pull out the string from this thing that makes me upset, so I can get rid of my own illusions. This thing is happening to me, and I'm seeing it and encountering it because I need to pull it out. I'm seeing with illusion. I'm seeing with the separated mind. I'm seeing that this should not be,
Which is fine, and as long as you don't mind suffering.
Yeah. Oh, and the virtue of suffering. Have you ever been in conversation with your friends with the Suffering Olympics? Have you ever done the Suffering Olympics with your friends?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, well, you should have met my mother-in-law.
That's
right?
nothing.
We should invite others to share here. What do you think?
Please, yeah, please. So, tell me what you think about this. What does the end of the world mean to y'all when someone says, the end of the world? Or, you can forgive everything, or everything is just the way it's supposed to be. How does that land for you?
Kathy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay. So that whole acceptance of the perfection of all that doesn't appear so. So the answer to the question is is this the humility part that, and he says, so just sit down right now and accept your humility that you can do this. And that seems to be the sticking point. Certainly what you were pointing at, Jacqueline, that being okay part, which just seems, huge. How to be okay with, fill in the blank. Just, yeah, so that's my question that answers the question.
Wait, am I supposed to say something now? You got me there at the end of my question that answers the question. Did you answer your own question?
And she does this.
Well, the masters teach us that the root of our suffering is our identification with the individual. So if things are this way, and I think they need to be different because I've got these individual needs and wants and preferences, I'm going to suffer because you know what? They're this way. If I'm trying to push them over this way, I'm going to suffer because you know what they're doing? They're going to go this way. I don't have that kind of effect on the events of the world. The effect that I have are, because we all create this together. We talk about codependent, interdependent co-arising. We all create this world. So me wanting to, move this over here to suit this individual, you can do that. You do it. And every time you're going to suffer. Mm-hmm. Every time you're going to suffer. So how do you quit doing it? How do you quit touching a hot stove? You get tired of being burned, You learn to, not to. You learn what that red thing means, right? I mean, it's the same thing. You learn that to the extent that I'm identified with the individual, I'm going to suffer. So I've got to just stop it.
And the method she gives is just turn in the direction of what I've already asked you to do. Just turn in the direction. I call turn in the direction of the light, but she goes, there's a lesson. Are you listening to what is yours to do? Is this really yours to do? This thing you're upset about, you think this must stop? Is all this redecorating yours to do?
That's a good point. So it's like that's the opportunity, right? To pause and say, what is mine to do here? And the answer may be nothing, or the answer may be run for president, right? I mean, so
there aren't levels.
It's get in line.
Levels.
It's get in line with God's will.
Mm-hmm.
What's called here God's will.
Most of my students have real difficulty with the levels part of it. That it's not better to be president than it is to be a teacher, or that it's not better to be a mother than a CEO, or it's not, or it's better that there are better roles to have than others. There are better tasks to do than others.
Sure, or it's not better to accept cancer than it is to accept the fact that I just got a hangnail.
Yeah,
that whole idea of hierarchy. Uh-huh. It's like, no, I love this and this and this and this.
That's the seed of destruction, because then you have to change it, because then we're human beings. The nature of our humanity is we don't have a self-generating energy source like the planet does. Okay? We don't have a self-generating energy source. So what we do as bodies and people, we have to go look for something to put in our mouths to give us energy to keep this body and things alive. So we have discernment to say, is this poison? Is this food? What is this? And those are good skills to have, right? And we collectively have created like whole systems and stuff to help each other say, that's poison. Let's figure out like how to do that. But even that, we know that a little bit of poison is healthy because snake venom cures epilepsy.
Wait. Come back, Glenn. Let me pull you back.
Okay.
It's interesting, but let me pull you back.
The physical.
Your point is some discernment is necessary to navigate in the world. But there's a big difference between trying to impose my self-will and simply accepting the will of the universe.
Yes, because if we understood, what we're doing, what the mind says, oh, I'm pursuing power over, or I'm pursuing, destruction, or I'm pursuing war. I'm
perpetuating the belief in separation. I'm perpetuating the belief that I'm an individual and that I have separate interests from you as an individual and those other 8 billion people too.
Right.
And of course they wrote in on.
Yeah. So God is like a super collective. That's not this also not a it's also not a collective. So it's like,
well, and it says that it is the final lesson in which unity is restored.
Unity.
That's it.
Final lesson is unity.
And so the recognition of the unity is the acceptance of the atonement.
Without hierarchy.
Without hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely amazing. It's completely ethical. And she goes, and you can do it.
I think we talked so long that George decided to leave. I love you, George.
I'm like, yeah, so it's like, okay, yeah. Because he knew he was going to get called on next.
I know. Now I'm going to call on Shauna. Shauna, you got anything?
I do, actually, yes. And George, George doesn't have internet. So
that's right.
Yeah. He's using his truck as a hotspot, so it probably worked in the battery. But anyway.
He's probably like, I shaved my legs for this.
I'd like to see George with legs.
Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I can now. Okay, keep that out of my mind.
End of the world.
Yes, end of the world. Thank you. So for me, it's that's in the first paragraph. The father of illusions is the belief that they have a purpose, that they serve a need or gratify a want. So for me, the father of illusion is this belief that I am an independent person with a will of my own, with needs and wants. Yes. And once that is let go, the attachment to that is let go, the world I think I see will disappear.
Yes.
And for me, the wants and needs are the desire to have things different. Yes. I wouldn't have any needs or wants if I didn't want things to be different.
Or I wouldn't need anything to be different if I didn't have needs or wants.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then on the last 3 sentences on the end there, I just love it. His will be done. It cannot be otherwise. And be you thankful it is so. Because if I think I can run the world, I can change the world, it's just going to be suffering. So I just love those two. Thank you, you guys. Good job. George is back.
Yeah, thank you, George. so, yeah, that's why. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm still using my truck as marginal. Tomorrow we actually get internet installed.
Good.
Maybe.
I know.
So anyway, the end of the world. I've thought a lot about this. The world ends when George ends. Okay?
Okay. By
himself, or the whole world blows up. Boom. And everybody's gone at the same time. Because there is no time. So,
sure.
Well, George, we better all take really good care of you then, buddy.
Absolutely.
I know. Hey, George, I'm the center of the universe too. I'm totally the center of the universe. But the points that were the thing. That's why I wanted to say is the identification with the body, the identification with material need to actually do something, and and Regina and others have pointed out this. If we will relax into who we are, if we will relax into what is ours to do, things like food and, all this happens automatically.
Yes.
Because God doesn't create and set up all this system and like goes, okay, I'm going to make it so that only a certain amount of people can be fed. That's going to be, it's like, if we were all on this, it was like all of this we are reflecting who we say we are. If all of us as collective decided to use this as like the vision to change our mind about who we were as a society, as a collective, as a community or family or whatever we want to call it, the world would fundamentally outpicture differently, And it's not that there's anything wrong. It's just that they're allowing to the flow instead of flow into an experience rather than blocking the experience. Right. You recognize that we're blocking it. It isn't something needs to be changed out here. Like I'm beginning to say a lot. It goes, don't play whack-a-mole with manifestation. And because if it's here, the cause and everything, that it's already now in flower. It's already, the plant's been seeded, it's been watered and fertilized, it's already appearing. The time to do with that, the time to manage that, the appearance of what you don't want was a bit ago in time, because we're experiencing it in time. So my mindset is to learn the lesson so that I stop planting seeds of experience that I do not want to have, because I am not alone in the effects of my seeing, because I am never alone and friendless, and I'm not even, there isn't anybody here to be alone, so that's actually a comforting thought. I thought that was like a highfalutin idea or something I would never really particularly grasp. But I'm here to say that there's real fundamental understanding in that, and that we make some of these ideas lofty, and like we create hierarchies of ideas as well. It goes, this is the correct idea and the pretty idea and the beautiful idea, and this is the less understanding idea. But it's like, no, you're talking about my own skills development, my own understanding of my own mind, my own understanding of my own, workings. So that's why this is so beautiful to me, just really, really incredibly beautiful. At the end, the world will end in joy. The world will end in peace. And the world will end in laughter. It's not destructive. The world doesn't end in destruction.
It's so
just
funny.
Doesn't.
I just got a picture of like, the lights coming down in the theater and the curtains closing, and we're all just sitting there just rolling laughing, right?
10 stars. 10 stars. I believed it the whole time. Oh my God.
Yeah,
but it's God this is interesting. This is interesting. This journey, this lesson, this ability to turn my direction to what I want to experience.
Yeah. How exciting!
Is so gentle, is so ethical, and it's so. It goes, go out and have fun. I'll call you when dinner's ready.
That's what Brent Haskell said. That's exactly what he said was going on in this world. Yeah, it's like
I believe
they
that.
sent us out to play.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Go to college when you
Go have fun.
Yeah, go have fun.
Yeah.
Love ya.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love you, mean it. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful and ethical, and it helps me give people a break quicker. Too. It helps because the main thing here is forgiveness, isn't it? It's the tools.
Well, I mean, everybody's just playing their part, and
Right.
their part may be the guy that I don't know, the guy that seems to mess the whole thing up. Oh man, look what he did! Right? That may be their part to play, but everybody's playing their part.
Yeah.
This is how the world is undone. This is how the world ends. You're seeing it right now. You're seeing it ends with how many 7 of us in this room It ends with the political leaders doing whatever they're doing. This is how the world ends. We're living that right now. This is how it ends. It doesn't end when so-and-so gets their shit together.
No.
It doesn't end when I get my shit together.
No.
You're watching. This is how the world ends. This is how the world ends.
Yeah,
And
I'm
the end,
responsible.
everybody-
And I'm responsible for what for the the direction of my head, the direction of my movement. I am responsible for doing what is mine to do. And like, what is my lesson?
And what if you don't do it, Glenn? Glenn, what if you don't do it?
If I don't do it, then that's perfect, because I can't do it until I can do it, and it's perfect.
Well, that's perfect.
And even if recently there was this guy was one of the concepts in permaculture is diversity. So you plant all these crops because there are going to be one or two of them that are going to fail every year, so that you don't have all your eggs in one, your eggs in one basket. So you don't need everything to go perfectly all the time in order for you to get the crop or the yield or to be able to feed yourself and your family. You create diversity, and it's because all of it's necessary. The things that's dying, the things that's blooming, the things that's planting, the things that's sowing.
For everything there is a season. The birds were right.
Turns out. The Everly Brothers, ladies and gentlemen.
No, that was the birds. Anyway.
Birds. Oh, see. Thank you.
We had to disagree about something tonight.
I love correction. Are you kidding me?
That was the disagreement right there. I think we're out of time, my dear.
We are out of time. This is where I get to say thank you for your practice. Thank you for everything that you do when no one's looking, for you and for us, because I know that you're traveling to God with me, and I bless and appreciate all that you do for us.
Ditto.
So let's see if I manage this. See if I can manage this well enough. I did it again. Okay, here we go.
You've been listening to Herein Lies the Peace of God with Reverend Jacqueline Eckert and Reverend Glenn Ganaway. To find out more about Jacqueline and to donate to Awakening Together Sanctuary, go to www.awakening-together.org. To find out more about Glenn and to donate to the Mighty Companions Ministries, go to www.glennganaway.com. That's GLENGANAWAY.com.
I can see peace instead of pain. Amen.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. It was awesome. Love you.
Love you.
Nighty night, all.